It is to Madame Justice that I dedicate this concerto in honor of the holiday she seems to have taken from these parts, and in recognition of the impostor that stands in her stead. Tell me, do you know what day it is, Evie?
November the 4th.
Not anymore. Remember the 5th of November, the gunpowder, treason, and plot. I know of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot.
Hi guys, my apologies. This is an edit into the video, so it's not going to seem like it flows with the rest of the video, but this is important. I need to point it out because my beliefs are that these events are depicting happening in November, as I've pointed out, the 11.3, the 11.5, as you'll see as I'm coming on in as this video moves on. But what I really wanted to quickly point out to you, which I forgot to add in the main video, is the Scorpion. Scorpio from October the 23rd to November the 15th, I think it is the star sign Scorpio. And you don't even have to really struggle to look at this one. You can see the tail, the stinger. The tail comes round the back, the claw of the scorpion on that side, the claw of the scorpion on that side, and the head. So if this is depicting some events in November, as you're going to see in the rest of this video, the fact that they've got a scorpion right at the end, which could depict Scorpio, which, as I said, is between October the 23rd and November the 15th, it could mean that, these events are to happen in November. The only issue with all of this is really the year, because obviously this came out in 2012, and if you had interpreted this in 2012, you might have thought it was coming in 2013 or 14, 15, 16, and now we're in 2017. But you have to agree that 2017 has been a significant year. Things are ramping up really quickly. Unrest is happening. We appear to be on the edge of a nuclear world war. Financial institutions are making movements, military drills, and all those kind of things that we've already been over. But the Scorpion here, I believe, is related to Scorpio, which is October the 23rd. October's gone now, so we're in November, and we've got until, November the 15th is Scorpio. So if anything's going to happen and this interpretation is correct, then, it will be before November 15th. So yeah, I'll add that to the main video and you can watch it all. Alright guys, the purpose of this video is to go over some stuff. I'm going to try and cover things that I haven't covered before, so I'm not going to be going through the 11.3 scenario, which has already been covered. While it's playing, I'll quickly point out the 3s and the 11s again. So 3 in a dog's head adds up to 23, which is the 11. The 3 down here in the snow, the 11, which is coming up now. So you see the 1, twin towers in the background, possibly letting us know this second 11, or actually representing the number 11. The goat's head going around 3 times, 3 shadows. Sorry, not 3 times. The goat's head going around, there's 3 shadows there. And then the blocks themselves, there's 11 blocks there. So that's pretty much the opening scene. 11.3 is all over it. As I've said, I believe that 11.3 was a countdown date because that's what it adds up to. So if you will, the what word am I looking for? Let's just say the trial period is over. That's not the word I'm looking for, but that's the word I'm going to use. The trial period's over, and now is when things can start, or is planned to start. So that's just the beginning. Let's get into a bit more. What I really wanted to go through in this video today is the countries that are involved. So already we're all aware that, we've got Obama and Bush, and this is kind of representing America a bit. We skip further down the video, and we've got the pound coin on the floor over here. That represents the UK. So we've already got the USA and the UK. Then then step outside, and I believe that this is possibly showing Hawaii. Because I have some other thoughts, but I'm not going to share those with you now. We then move on to this scene, and as I pointed out in previous videos before, let's try and take a little step back. If you notice the big, what could be, it could be like the rest of it, like landmass, like icebergs kind of thing. But if you notice, it appears to be above the water, where this is kind of like directly on it. So I've looked at that, and the shape of it appears to be the same kind of shape that they have in Rome, in the Basilica, I think it is. So yeah, you've got like God's hand reaching out, his fingers reaching out to man's finger. If you see the image in Rome, you'll know what I'm talking about. So, you know, that could be encompassing Rome or even Catholicism, because I believe that in this video they're also depicting every major world religion as well as atheism. Over here, we move on to what is depicted as Osama bin Laden. Some people say he's still alive. I don't know about that. That's not what I'm looking at. But I believe that this part represents Iran. So we've got the USA, Rome, possibly UK, definitely, Iran, definitely. So I'm just marking off as I'm going. Okay, Hawaii, as I said, could possibly be Hawaii as well. Right. So then we move on first. Planning this very well. Now this part here that's coming up with the flames, some people believe that depicts Israel attacking Iran, and that could be possible. I'm not exactly sure on that, so I'm not putting that as a solid, just as an idea for you guys to think about. Let's continue. Back there. So here we definitely have Iran. That's covered. We have Africa. That's covered. In one of my previous videos, comment which one, the last one, the one before it, we pointed out that there's again like a 1-1 over here, and his eyes were looking over there. When you play the video, you can see that. I'm not going to bother rewinding it to show you. I already pointed that out. And then you've got the 3 in his beard as well. So there's another 311 for you. But this point here, the hammer and the sickle, we've already pointed out that that could be Russia, it could be China, or it could be North Korea. If we go to, that's it's known by 2 ways: the Soviet flag or the flag of communism, basically. And when we read here, let me zoom in a bit. Where's it gone? Okay, here we go. So the Soviet Union was the world's first constitutionally socialist state, making it the inspiration of future socialist states. This led to the inspirations for the flags of the Republic of Angola, the People's Republic of China, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, or DPRK, which is North Korea, and the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. So that one scene there kind of drags in Russia, China, and North Korea. So far we've got Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, possibly Hawaii, the USA, Britain, possibly Rome. I'm not too sure on the Hawaii and the Rome, considering. And this scene, I believe, depicts the Chinese tanks moving into South Korea. So there you bring in South Korea. Show you, and I don't want to make this into a long video. and I've been through some of the face masks he wears and how that may link to California. But a scene that I didn't stop it on is where he's wearing the Kali mask, dancing around the fire, which I believe brings in India. So, and then basically reaches the end of the video. So, in that video, we've got Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, possibly Hawaii, possibly Rome, the USA, Britain, South Korea, and India. Now, those are, apart from Hawaii and Rome, those are pretty much the major players that are involved in this potential scenario for World War III, this nuclear world war that everyone, including myself, is trying to figure out and warn people about. But do you notice there's one country missing? At least one of the major countries that's involved in this current conflict. There's one country out of all these countries that I've listed, from Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, possibly Hawaii, possibly Rome, USA, Britain, South Korea, and India. Japan is not there. Japan is missing. I can't find any imagery associated in this video associated with Japan. So I started thinking, thinking of all that, I'm just going to close the pages I don't need. So obviously I've been through that, I showed you that already. Right, I'll come to that in a minute. So Japan seems to be missing. Obviously, Donald Trump is traveling to Japan today. Today being, well, he's supposed to touch down Sunday, which is the 5th of November. There's a couple of things I want to mention. Obviously, the 5th of November is bonfire night or fireworks night, depending on how you see it. If we go back to the iPad Goat video, sorry, this is driving me crazy. Go back to there. If you notice, let's play the video before that. Okay, so this is where China's moving into South Korea. And I believe the imagery here may possibly I say, be predicting some dates here. So the first thing we get is the skeleton hand lying on the girl's shoulder wearing a diamond ring. I'm not going to go into that symbology. But what I'm seeing here is this figure, as I've mentioned before, I believe is representing the Day of the Dead, which is celebrated across the South American countries on the 2nd of November. And then in the background, they're showing fireworks. That could be interpreted as nuclear explosions, or it could be an actual specific time it's given you. So the 2nd of November for the Day of the Dead and the 5th of November for fireworks night or bonfire night. The reason I believe that is true is because when we move further down the video, when we go to this guy dancing around the flames, dancing around the flames, it could be that this is depicting a bonfire. A bonfire is a large open fire pit, basically enclosed open fire pit. So that's a bonfire. Whether that's relating to bonfire night, I don't know. I'm already on the 5th of November at 2:40 in the morning over here in the UK. So I'm putting out this video a little bit late, but it's better late than never, I guess. So that's two things already. I can't seem to find any depictions of Japan. If any of you can see it, let me know. But of all the major players, there doesn't appear to be Japan depicted in this. And I get to thinking, why is that? And then going back to, obviously, Donald Trump, he's traveling there on the 5th of November. So the 5th of November being a Sunday. Now, depending on your belief system, if you're Jewish, you believe that the Sabbath is from Friday night to Saturday night. And some people, a lot of people, believe that the Sabbath is actually Sunday. Either way, that's where Matthew 24:20 comes in. Pray that your flight will not take place in winter or on the Sabbath. We are checking the boxes for both of those things at the moment. We are in winter, and depending on your beliefs, Sunday is a Sabbath. So that's the first lot covered. Let me get rid of it. What I then wanted to come to around the Japan thing is this. North Korea fires second missile over Japan as US tells China and Russia to take direct action. North Korea has fired an intermediate range ballistic missile that flew over Japan before landing in the northern Pacific Ocean. It was the second aggressive test flight over the territory of the close US ally in less than a month, and it followed the sixth and most powerful nuclear test by North Korea to date on September the 3rd. The reason I point that out is because Japan is the only country that's ever had a nuclear bomb dropped on it. In war times or in even in peace times. Obviously, they test nuclear weapons on land and they tested them in the atmosphere and they tested them over the ocean. But only twice in mankind's history has the nuclear bomb ever been used, and both of those times were on Japan. And then we come to North Korea firing 2 missiles within a month over Japan, and that comes after their nuclear test. And Donald Trump is traveling to Japan on the 5th of November, which is bonfire night or fireworks night. Jesus, help me please. Yeah, he's traveling to Japan on the 5th of November, which is bonfire night or fireworks night, which also happens to be in winter, which also happens to be on a Sabbath. There's too many connections linking up. As I said, I don't know if anything's going to happen, but if you're following my train of thought, there's strong connections, no? You can see there's some strong connections. So moving on from that fact that Japan's been the only country to have 2 nuclear weapons drops on it, and North Korea have fired 2 missiles over it, and Donald Trump's traveling there on the 5th of November, which is bonfire night, which is also depicted in the iPet Goat video, which is also in winter, and is also possibly on a Sabbath, depending on your beliefs. I hope you're following this. Then I had a conversation, but a comment back and forth between myself and JK Bugout, and we were talking about The Economist magazine, and we looked at the 2015 Economist magazine, and we noticed that down here there's 2 arrows that are going into the ground, which have 11.5 and 11.3 on them. We don't know exactly what that means, but I can give you an interpretation. But before I go there, I just wanted to point out a few things. This is from a website called vigilanttcitizen.com, and they've taken some of the images out of the Economist magazine and they've tried to explain it. And you've got basically the 2-faced globe, and this is the east basically. So you've got China, which runs down across here, India going down into like Bangladesh and Vietnam. Over here you've got South Korea and then North Korea. Over here, Japan. So this is the east. You can see the angry side of the east looking towards the west, which doesn't seem to really care about the east. So that doesn't really have anything to do with my video. I just wanted to kind of point it out. This says this is the world in 2015, but the reason I believe that this may not be just talking about the world in 2015 is because this hasn't happened. The nuclear explosion, the mushroom cloud, the start of World War III, it hasn't happened. So I don't know if that's depicting more future, further events, right down into the future. It goes through like the colours of the faces, the Pied Piper leading the children away, the fall of the Federal Reserve, crop dusting, and that crop dusting helicopter you see there in the magazine, it's above this child who's eating some noodles. That could be, as they're saying here, it could be depicting the child eating something that's contaminated with insecticides or fungicides, something sprayed. We've got a macho-looking panda there in Chinese Speedos, and we have a sumo wrestler down here holding a battery, which they're possibly interpreting as a switch in polarity in world power from west to east. Possible, as China's making moves on every front to become the world leader. This is interesting down here, the turtle. This is not what I wanted to show you on this page, but it's interesting. This turtle is an angry tortoise, and it's the symbol of the Fabian Society, an extremely powerful organization that has been working for over a century towards towards the formation. They didn't spell that right. Formation of a single world government. And what interested me most about this is not just that it's from the Fabian Society, but their motto, which is "When I strike hard." That just automatically brought me to Donald Trump and his his quotes. So here's a few of them. When people wrong you, go after those people because it's a good feeling and because other people will see you doing it. Next one. When somebody screws you, screw them back in spades. Next one. When somebody hurts you, just go after them as viciously and as violently as you can. Go for the jugular so that people watching will not want to mess with you. Those are the kind of things he says. Even his wife has said when Donald Trump gets hit, he hits back harder. That resembles the "when I strike hard" kind of thing. So I just wanted to kind of point it out. But even more so to that is their original slogan. So the Turtles, their revamped slogan, and their original slogan. When you look at it, you're thinking it looks kind of like a dog or something like that. It took me a while to realize that the black silhouette part is a wolf, and the white silhouette part is the sheep. So it's basically saying a wolf in sheep's clothing. More, more, and not, more scary stuff. Just a simple wolf in sheep's clothing. It's not exactly um, giving you confidence in the Fabian Society. But here's what I wanted to get to: the 11.3 and the 11.5. It's interesting what they say about it because they can't interpret it either. So it says here, the lower, let me zoom in because it's probably small on your screen. So the lower right side, how do that for you? There you go, it should be easier. The lower right side of the cover features some more cryptic symbols. There's a pile of dirt on the ground and two arrows on which are inscribed 11.5 and 11.3. Are those dates to remember? Why are they next to a pile of dirt? If you look up these figures as coordinates, they point to somewhere in Nigeria. Displaying numbers that can only be truly understood by those in the know is one of the occult elite's favorite hobbies. So again, it's not just I Pet Goat and The Simpsons that are showing 11.3. It's also in The Economist magazine. But interestingly enough, they also show 11.5. And since 11.3 has passed, as which I said, I didn't think anything was going to happen anyway, because I believe that's a countdown date and it means it's the end of the waiting period and moving on to now things can happen. They've also got 11.5 here. So what does that symbolize? I don't know. But considering the fact that I can't find Japan anywhere in the I Pet Goat video, 11.5 is Firework or Bonfires Night, which is also depicted in the video. And it's winter and possibly a Sabbath, which is in the Bible. I don't know if that means 11.5 today, possibly later on, is something going to happen. I don't know, but I'm not going to just let it slip by without trying to warn people about it. If nothing happens, great. If something does, you've been warned. Um, so yeah, I wanted to point that out and make it clear that I don't know what's going on, but these kind of things are there, and not just that, but obviously the arrow itself is the 11.3 is in front of the 11.5. So normally when you read something, you're going from left to right, unless you're Muslim, in which you read from right to left. In this case, the arrow is in front, as you can see by the difference on the actual floor itself. The 11.3 comes first, and the 11.5 comes after. So I don't know if it's going to happen today, but it's worth warning you since there's a lot of things linking together. I'm coming to the end of the video now, so I've already covered that and that. This is just a map to show that, and we've done that as well. So before I move on to that last bit, the other thing I wanted to point out is the Georgia Guidestones. Now, interestingly enough, in the interpretations, if I zoom in on this as well, down here, it says the most widely agreed upon interpretation of the stones is that they describe the basic concepts required to rebuild a devastated civilization. You hear that? The most widely agreed upon interpretation of the stones is that they describe the basic concepts required to rebuild a devastated civilization. Going on, it says author Brad Meltzer notes that the stones were built in 1979 at the height of the Cold War, and thus argues that they may have been intended as a message to the possible survivors of a nuclear World War III. The engraved suggestion to keep humanity's population below 500 million could have been made under the assumption that war had already reduced humanity below this number. So you see, it's their plan, it's their goal. Their goal is a new world order. Their goal is total control. How can they gain total control in a world as diverse as this? They're going to need something that is going to bring people together or cause people to rely on the government or whatever you can pass for government at that time. And they're gonna try and keep it. If this world war does kick off, obviously it's going to kill a lot of people. At the moment, the population of the world is over like 6 billion, and they want to keep it below 500 million. Could fit all of those people in China. It just appears to me that, you know, their goals have been in place for a really long time, but at some point, those goals need to be realized, and it's not beyond the realms of possibility that it could be this year. As I said, these things are really cryptic, so it's difficult to interpret them and get them right. If you do get them right, then, you know, it's pretty much the end of the world. And when you do get them wrong, people come with their little comments, you know, to try and drag you down, to make you seem like you're doing something harmful, when really all you're trying to do is give information, and possibly an interpretation. But no promises. There's never any promises on these videos. You just have to use your own brain. And if you decide to listen to the information and then take that and go and do some research of your own, is really what you should do. Because even though, you know, I trust myself as an honest person trying to do honest things, I don't ever want anyone to just take my words as law, you know, because that would be wrong. You need to use your own brain. So the last thing I want to come to is the counting sheep. I should have showed you earlier because it was actually, I brought this up in relation to the wolf in sheep's clothing. But last year, this was up and about, and you know, I saw it through JK Bug Out myself, and it was on other YouTube channels. But it was basically counting sheep, and you know, there's not much to read here, but I just wanted to kind of point out to you guys that's how they see us. We're sheep, we're herd, we're just too easy to control. If you just put things in front of us that mean something to us, like our families, and then you put some problems around those kind of things like housing, money, food, you know, shelter, electricity, all those kind of things, we become so reliant. And it's gone past the days, you know, where we used to look after ourselves. We now rely on the government for everything. Obviously, there's societies out there that still rely on themselves. The what they called, the name just went from my head. Got Mormons in my head for some reason. I'm gonna trust that you guys are intelligent and know who I'm talking about when I say the group of people, the Amish. That's it, the Amish people. They're self-reliant mostly. They could survive, and you know, they farm. They don't use much electricity. They look after each other, and that's kind of like a model for really how the world should be. Should support each other and not be so reliant on things that could be taken away in an instant. You know. So that's pretty much the video. I wanted to point out to you guys that 11.3 is there. You can see it yourselves. 11.5 as well. Actually, there's one more point in this video where it may indicate 5 as well, which is in this part. So this scene we've been over as well. It depicts a lady seeing a nuclear missile or something coming down out of the sky, hitting the ground. She then backs away from the window as the wind and the light and the pressure wave moves towards her. Already before that all happened, you saw what I'm interpreting as God's hand coming down to possibly say, I think this is their depiction of the rapture. Again, I don't think that that's actually going to happen today, which is the 5th, where I'm kind of indicating these things may take place. But that's what they're trying to show you. So, I'm down out the heavens. Hold on a second, I just spotted something. I don't know, that could just be nothing, but it was interesting. Sorry, you're catching me as I'm trying to interpret at the same time. And comes up, light comes down, light shoots up. I don't know. That could be, obviously, to me, it looks like the hands of a clock there and there. That would be 3, and that would be about 55, 255, possibly. I don't know. That's just an interpretation again. I just saw it and I thought that kind of looked like the hands of a clock if this is the middle of the clock here. And that being a hand and that being a hand. I don't know, it could just be lights. But you know how these people like to put subliminal messaging inside their videos, in their magazines, in their movies, TV shows and music. And in most cases it just goes over your head because you're not looking for it. But when you start looking for it, these things start popping out at you. And either you're catching on to their plan or you're going insane. So I don't know which is happening, but it's worth pointing out. So that's the video. As I said, I didn't want to make it too long. It's probably gone up to like 15 minutes or something by now. But yeah, keep your eyes open again. As I said, I'll give them the time scale on my other video from November the 3rd to November the 11th. Considering all the things that have been pointed out in this particular video in regards to Japan missing from the video, as far as I can see. As I said, if you guys see anything that, could signify Japan, then let me know. But as far as I can tell, Japan's missing. Donald Trump's traveling there. 5th of November, bonfire night, fireworks night, which is there. The Day of the Dead has passed, which is also shown in the video. This whole video seems to be taking place in winter, or a nuclear winter. Considering you could have both. It's winter now. The Bible says, pray that your flight does not take place in winter or on the Sabbath. And the 5th, which is today for me, tomorrow for some of you guys, is winter and the Sabbath. If you believe Sunday is the Sabbath. If you don't, then the Sabbath has already passed. But that's it. Have a good night, guys. And pray tonight. Just pray tonight. Not pray because something's going to happen, but just pray because we're living in times where it's really difficult to ignore the fact that we could be heading into a time that has been planned and planned and planned by the elites. If you don't believe in the elites, this video is not for you.